It's been about 2 years now since I purchased my new farm, and I've started a lot of projects to create the best hunting and recreational property possible. At the time of purchase, the lion's share of the property is in a CRP contract, which limits some of my overall big picture plans. So getting started, I wanted to pick a few smaller projects to be able to get things rolling. It's super important to point out that these first two projects that I started, which was creating a few small kill plots and a woodland pond, took up a very small portion of the property, and these small little improvements are things that anybody can do, whether they're on their own hunting property or maybe even just have a hunting lease. These little improvements can pay monster dividends. It's been about a year now, so join me as I show you what these improvements look like today. You know what? These woodland ponds can be killer spots to hunt, and would you believe it, this small improvement that I made last year turned out to be where I ended up harvesting the buck that I wanted to get last year. My hit list buck was shot over my first improvement that I made on the property. Now, it's important to recognize that, again, this is a small enhancement of the property. This is literally no greater than probably a 40 foot by 40 foot overall section. Anybody can take a piece of property or even a hunting lease and create a small water hole like this. What's important is to make sure you pick the right locations, being able to get in, get out. You have to have good access points. Sure enough, it turned out to be a hot November rut year. That buck came right in, and I was able to harvest them over this spot. Now, I did not go back to this spot this year to be able to really show you what it looks like now, because to be completely honest with you, this is a spot that I basically will hardly ever go into unless it's to check my tree stand, make sure it's ready to go, because I want this spot to feel as safe as possible for these deer. It's literally less than 80 to 100 yards from a bedding area, so it's critical that these deer always feel like they can get out of their bed, get a drink of water, and that it is safe as possible for them, because this spot is always going to pay big dividends in the future. Again, I want to remind you, this is a small plot. If you don't have a skid steer, you can rent smaller pieces of equipment. Quite frankly, if you got bigger arms than I've got, you can get in there with 2 or 3 of your buddies. You can use shovels. You jump on Amazon. You buy basically a liner and a small rubber membrane, put some clay over the top of it, let it fill up with water, and you will have yourself a fantastic place to hunt. Now I want to bring you into a couple of these other kill plots that I created. When you think of kill plots, it's exactly what they're intended to do. Spots where you could slip in and kill deer. Now, both of these spots, I was only able to hunt one of them one time. And you know what? It doesn't matter. That one time that I went in there, I had an opportunity to shoot a doe, but join me now as I take you into those spots. Well, I wanted to get back to this kill plot and kind of bring you an update on where this thing stands today. A year ago, we came in here. This was thicker than snot. Standing next to me right here is this honeysuckle. As you can see, this baby's way over at least 12 foot tall. This entire little kill plot was nothing but this honeysuckle. There was zero growth within this kill plot. A deer could hardly penetrate this. We came in here, I brought the Fecon mulching head, I cleared it out, I set a deer stand, had a lot of activity come and hit this mock scrape that we made. Ended up being a big rub on it later in the season. Not sure exactly what buck did it. I'll have to check the camera and go back, but a lot of activity started using this knob in this kill plot. We just walked into it, and right off the bat, I saw this first native coming up. This is a Trillium. Yes, I got Kurt here help me point all these out, but this is a Trillium here. I mean, and then literally we just started kind of going through the plot. We found this blood root over here. And again, these are just a couple of species that we found right away. And these are varieties that you want to have in here. But come on, let me take you in here a little bit further to show you why this is just going to continue to be a great spot. As you walk along here with me, you think about turkeys having their poults, you know. That's happening right now. I'm surprised that we haven't captured any on camera. I'm sure as I go around and pick some camera cards up, we might find a few. But when you start walking around, something that I have not seen in a long time, especially on this piece of property, because my woods are so overloaded with this honeysuckle, you start watching, you can literally see all these grasshoppers, all these baby grasshoppers jumping in here, which is huge, because if you're a little poult and you're trying to survive right now, you can come into a spot like this. They're down low. Obviously, mom's got her head poking up, looking for danger around every single corner because everything wants to kill those things. They're able to have plenty of cover to hide in, but they're able to sit here and pick bugs all day long. This right behind me here is the mock scrape that we set up. It's a little bit bigger than I usually make them, but I was desperate and trying to get something up and going. But the amount of deer that just came in here and started using this thing was amazing. Unfortunately, this honeysuckle is already starting to grow big time, but you can see this rub right here. They were hammering this thing. I mean, it's amazing. I cut this honeysuckle back, and within no time at all, it's almost 3 foot tall. So we're definitely going to get in here. We're going to spot spray, then honeysuckle. I want to keep this open as much as I can. I'm fine with the interseeding we did with the clover. There's browse in here. The couple apple trees that we planted, this is year 2 on the apple trees, and they're looking good. You know, I didn't check to see if any mice chewed the bark out of them, but the nice thing about apple trees, even if you get some mice damage or girdling around the apple trees, it's one of the few trees that can actually handle it, and they won't die. They'll be able to continue to grow. But this tree looks healthy. It looks good. There's 1, 2, 3 of them that we put in here caged, so those will get big over time. Sure, it's going to take a couple of years, but it won't be long. Let's keep kind of walking through here. You can see some other varieties of trees popping up in here. This here looks like, this is that prickly ash, right? No, prickly pear ash?
Prickly ash.
Prickly ash, yeah. So, you know, I mean, it is a native plant. It's not bad. It's not exactly my favorite, man. Those thorns hurt like heck and they're hard to get out of your skin. We had a couple re-sprouting of walnuts here, which, you know, I hate walnuts to death. These guys are stump sprouting, but as you can see here, I mean, if you really come up close, I mean, these deer are in here obviously just gnawing away at these things. Now, again, I'm not going to let any of these take over again because these aren't the trees that I ultimately want in here. 1,000 photos, that always gets me excited. I'm going to go ahead and kill this. I forgot to bring a card with me, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it with me and turn it off for now. Go ahead and see what we got. You know, when I broadcast some of that clover in here, one of my favorite clovers is this crimson clover. You can see it by this really beautiful flowering head that it gets. It's just beautiful and just a great plant that gives off a lot of nitrogen. We'll take a look to see what's on this card, but let's go ahead and stroll through here. This one tree, before I came in here and just started demolishing, you know, I mean, I really took my time to walk around and just think about, in the future, will there be multiple trees that I can hunt this in for different winds? You know, I've got the one that's set up over here for an east wind because there's a major trail that literally cuts right across here, hits this scrape, and it just continues down this line. So that's one stand there. I did hunt it once last year. I could have shot a doe. So in my opinion, for year 1, this was a huge success. And if I would have continued to hunt this spot, I'm almost positive I would have had a chance to get a buck out of it. There's a couple other trees over here that I had kind of marked out. This one big locust and then this one bur oak. Now this bur oak small, never in my lifetime will I be able to hunt from it, but kind of pointed him out individually because that's a tree that will be a really desirable tree one day, and it's just a beautiful tree. But as far as I'm concerned, for a first year kill plot, coming in here and seeing the amount of browse, the amount of activity that's already in here, the fact that now I can get in here and I can manage the honeysuckle, keep them at bay. If I want to plant a couple extra trees in here, I could. But honestly, this is diversity. It's something different than what I have. And I mean, literally, if you look all around me, you see nothing but honeysuckle. This just provides the sweet little oasis for deer to pop out before those evenings, before they start heading out to the big food plots. They can pop right in here, have some browse, and head on out. This is going to be a good spot in the future. I love the way this thing's turning out. Well, right off the bat, we haven't been in here literally for more than a minute, and we're already picking out some great stuff. You can tell this is definitely a spot where a hen is coming in here. I guarantee there's probably a nest around here somewhere. I've been getting one lone hen on camera up here walking around, but you know for a fact she's been dusting here in this little opening spot. Now here, this spot's a little bit different. It's not so much of a kill plot because I've got a food plot just, I mean, literally within 30, 40 yards here. And my goal with this spot here is to catch those deer on a north wind, traveling right along this food plot, scenting whatever's out in it. And I'm eventually gonna have a stand up here. But for right now, This was that second spot that I cleared out last year, and let's take a look at some of the great stuff we're finding in this plot here. Just like the other plot you saw, but a little bit different because this one here faces south. It gets a totally different type of sun exposure. You can see the wildflowers here. I mean, these phlox are growing everywhere. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous. So that's one thing that just jumped out at us as soon as we got into here. Same thing, just like the other spot. There's multiple trees that we cut down that were stump sprouting. Deer have definitely been hammering those. These are those ledges that I made for the deer to lay on. I can't say that I had any success yet with the deer actually bedding on these, but the reason why I walked over here is because this is where I did insert some shrubs, and I want to check on them because last year the deer were absolutely hammering them. So here you can come up here. This here is a great little hazelnut, and there's no doubt there's browse, but you know what? For its first year, the tree is here. It's doing good, or I should say the shrub is here. There's another flag over there and another one up there. This one's doing much, much better. So those I introduced because I want those native shrubs to really start taking over this area. Once you get these areas cleared out like this, it's so much easier to manage them. You can come in here with a little spot sprayer, and take out some of the thistle that I've been seeing. Definitely gonna take out the honeysuckle that I'm seeing and kill the invasives and let the good stuff keep on coming. Let's keep on walking along here. We saw some other things that we wanted to point out to you. Probably the one thing that I'm most excited about, which I'm gonna take you to next. Kurt thought I was having a little bit of an ulcer or something going on, but it's right over here. And you know what, it's a big deal for me because, you know, you talk about opening these areas up. Now watch, I'm not gonna be able to find the little guy. Oh no, there it is. Look at this. You get in here and you open up the sunlight, and here's two little oaks where these acorns obviously, you know, came from somewhere. There's an oak. There's a couple of oaks over here. So I mean, whether the squirrels brought them over here and buried them, there's a small oak right here, but I don't think that one's big enough to be dropping acorns yet. But it doesn't matter. I mean, what's important is these are the different varieties that you want to come in and start getting bigger and start taking over these areas versus that honeysuckle. And you know what? This didn't cost me any money. You know, I've spent a lot of money planting trees, and there's no doubt I'm going to come back in here, put a little cage around them, pound in a stake, protect this little oak tree right here because this is a great tree. Didn't cost me a penny. And more importantly, I can tell you right now, by walking around in here and looking at the diversity in this spot here, it's going to attract more wildlife. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. I could have left the honeysuckle. I could have done nothing. Yeah, it's a cool wall. Yeah, I'm sure there's some deer that are bedding in it, and some people may look at it and go, why in the hell would you want to get rid of all that thick cover? And for me, it's because I want the diversification. I want things for all wildlife, birds, animals. I mean, bees, turkeys, they were dusting over there. I want to be able to have as much diversification, and I want to attract as much wildlife as I can versus just letting that nasty honeysuckle just take over everything. And of course, maybe not in my lifetime, but this little oak tree right here, once I get it caged, I'm going to throw the video up of the one time that I didn't cage the one little oak that I found. Tell you what, it doesn't take long, man. Those deer, they got a heck of a stomach to fill, and I'll tell you what, they find these little guys and they're gone quickly. So I'm going to cage this tree, maybe not in my lifetime, like I said, but 10, 15, 20 years from now, this will be a heck of a tree. So as far as I'm concerned, year 2 of this, you know, clear-cut opening that I made is doing fantastic.
Well, as you can see, I took those 2 spots where I am telling you, when I bought the farm and I first started walking the property, they were spots where you walked through and you were like, man, I bet you there's some big bucks bedding in these areas because they were just thick and they were nasty. The problem was there was no food. It was completely overgrown with honeysuckle. You could hardly penetrate the stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think there was very much use of those areas at all. By going in there and tweaking them, opening them up, letting the sunlight get in there, you saw the improvements that it made. But I'll tell you what solidified the deal for me was pulling that stealth cam and looking at that card when me and Kurt were in there filming. I literally got home that night, I stuck that card in, and I decided to go look at the most recent stuff. And would you believe it, the day before Kurt and I went in there and filmed that,
here's a bachelor group of bucks, 5 different bucks. Of course, they're just getting growing. Maybe they're only 1 or 2.5-year-old deer. Super hard to tell at this point, but it doesn't matter. Here is a group of 5 bucks in the kill plot. Some of them are hitting the mock scrape that I made, and they're in there browsing like crazy, because that's what happens when you take an overgrown area, open it up to the sunlight, let the sun get in there, and let all that native regeneration start to happen. It creates a lot of browse, and the deer love that. Not only that, I could see by watching other videos that I pulled from that card, is a lot of activity is coming through there. So I know for a fact that that is going to be a great spot to hunt in the years to come. Well, I'm excited to bring you some of the future improvements that I've been making. They keep getting a little bit bigger. The next one up that we're going to be talking about is the big logging project. I'm not going to lie, that one was frightening for sure, because I changed the landscape of the property. It's almost a 13-acre complete clear cut. So that's going to be coming up in the next video, so stay tuned for that. There's a lot of other big projects that I have on the horizon you have to stay tuned to. We did a big erosion stream bank project through Equip, which I want to share with you, some big tree plantings, and a lot of other updates, so stay tuned. In the meantime, hopefully you were able to get out turkey hunting. A lot of our teammates did, had a really successful year putting down some turkeys. I hope you're getting out in the woods and making these improvements to your properties. These are things that I know you can do. More importantly, if you've got improvements that you'd like to see me do to my property, or if you've got improvements that you think can make an impact, please comment below, because I'm always interested in getting new ideas to be able to create the best whitetail property possible.